We want to thank you for sticking with us. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but the fight for equality and access to treatment is a year-round effort. Joining us today to talk about all the latest developments is Dr. Sandy Goldberg from a foundation called A Silver Lining, one of many groups in Chicago working to make care accessible, I should say, for all women. Thanks for joining us. What is this news that we just came out, a couple of weeks ago about delaying your mammograms? What's that about?
Don't get me started where that's concerned. And I'll tell you why. Because the American Cancer Society came out with some statistics that said that it is perfectly all right for a woman to start to get her first mammogram at age 45 instead of age 40, unless she has had a previous family history. You and I both know that breast cancer or diagnosis of breast cancer is really on the rise in our country today, and for men, not only for women.
Agreed, yes.
So to delay breast health testing another 5 years, and then for women post 50 every other year, I told you, don't get me started.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I mean, so many people were diagnosed even prior to 40 years old. You know, some late stage cancer. So what do you think is the push for this? Could it be a money thing? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think anyone really knows, because there are other major breast health organizations that say, you know, we're not in agreement with that. I think the important thing to remember in all of this, Micah, is that we have to be advocates for ourselves.
Exactly.
And just because one organization comes out with statistics, that does not necessarily mean it's germane, or that they're going to follow it 2, 3, 5 years or 5 months down the road.
What can be confusing for folks, though, is that every other year they're coming out with a different, you know, something to do, a different guideline.
Right.
So what do we follow?
We follow our own good sense. That's number one. There's a reason that, theoretically speaking, 40 is a good age. Again, theoretically, you heard, to get their first mammogram. However, if someone in your family, a first-degree relative on either side, mother, sister, even someone on your father's side, has had breast cancer, you want to start to get tested 10 years earlier than when they were first diagnosed.
That's interesting.
Also, breast health examinations, your own self-examinations. You know your body better than anybody else. If something feels funky, get it checked.
And don't be afraid. I know some people who feel it and say, I don't want to go because I know what I'm going to go through. But the sooner you get it checked, the less issues you'll have. Is that correct?
There's an old saying, and the old saying is early detection saves lives. And that is never more accurate when you're talking about an early stage diagnosis of breast cancer. The earlier the diagnosis, the longer the lifespan.
Now, here's another thing. Women who find things, don't have insurance, don't know how to do it. That's where Silver Linings comes in, right?
A Silver Lining Foundation, that's exactly what we do. We have multiple programs. So really, our heart of hearts is our program that we call Buy a Mom a Mammogram. And we fund the entire spectrum of breast health testing, from screening mammograms, as you know, that's the walk-in-the-door mammograms, all the way through biopsies. And now we fund 15 partner hospitals, 2 in Rockford, 1 in Elgin, and the rest in the greater Chicagoland area. And we take everything one person at a time. We don't do research. Research is very important. I'm alive as a survivor because of research. But what we do, that woman or man who has no place to go, who's uninsured, who's underinsured, who is younger, who isn't documented,
who's
afraid, who is petrified, pick up the phone and call us at a Silver Lining Foundation, and we'll help.
It's so easy to do. I wish people would do it. How do you tell people out there who are afraid, though, to even, you know, check because they're afraid they may find something, or they know, you know, they don't want to go through this, they have a family, it would be too tough to do this. What do you say to that person?
You are your own worst enemy. Again, I think many times that people think about breast cancer as a death sentence. And in all candor, when I was diagnosed a little over 15 years ago, I flashed back to my aunt and I flashed back to my cousin who perished because of the disease. That's not the case anymore. If you get tested, even if, God forbid, you are diagnosed, there's a lot more that can and is being done, again, for a much longer lifespan than ever before.
Things have advanced even within the last year or two, haven't they?
Oh, my goodness gracious. You know, I asked at the hospital that I go to, could I see my films when I was diagnosed and how they look now? I mean, certainly post-surgery, but the difference in terms of the quality of the test 15 years ago, and that's what they had, and that was great stuff. it was not as clear, it was cloudy.
Right.
Now it's absolutely amazing what you can see, and the tests that we have available, again, different sorts of tests, can diagnose breast cancer in younger women, smaller amounts, a collection of a few wild cells.
Yeah, and it's not always a death sentence. People need to realize that.
It hardly ever is a death sentence anymore if caught early.
Right, and that's what's important. People have got to empower themselves, get out there and do it right away.
We have to have a voice. We have to have a voice. And harking back to what we started talking about to begin with, you need to take care of yourself. You need to be an advocate for yourself. If you're uncomfortable, you need to pick up the phone. We've been told that we can't do so now because of the changing landscape in healthcare. Wrong, wrong, wrong.
Wrong. Dr. Sandy Goldberg, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome,
And I'm sure a lot
Micah.
of people out there feel so much better after hearing you talk to them.
Well, thank you.
Silver linings. For more details and more information on the programs that Dr. Goldberg has talked about, visit silverliningfoundation.org. It can save your life.